Cracking, everybody. Money Smart Guy Matt Zapala here. Hailing to you from Dallas, Texas, and welcome to another episode of the Millionaire Goals Podcast. Joining me in the studio today is my co-host, Milton Alvarez, homeboy from Chi-Town, my personal trainer. And Milton, would you care to introduce our new guest today? For the very first time, we have a guest on the podcast.
And I think it's going to be a great podcast because of that.
It's going to be an awesome podcast.
I got to Texas maybe about a year and a half ago, and she was actually one of the first few people that I met via Instagram because I was actually looking for a gym to work out of and also work at. And she's actually one of the owners at Triple D Performance Center, Miss Lexi.
Hey, y'all. Nice to meet you.
Lexi, tell us about yourself.
Well, my name's Lexi Coronado. I am originally from South Texas, Rio Grande Valley, 956. You know what
RGV.
that's at.
She's out here repping, baby.
I am a co-owner of Triple D Performance. We're located in Carrollton, Texas, 14,000 square foot facility. Excuse me. I'm a personal trainer as well. Have my bachelor's in psychology. It's just a little bit about me.
How'd you start your business? What got you to start your business, the gym?
Well, I graduated from UT Dallas, University of Texas at Dallas. Go Comets, whoosh. While I was there, I actually worked at our activity center and was a lead supervisor for the Department of Recreational Sports. So I kind of worked my way up there and ran the facilities and our sports facilities all together, and it kind of just is really what led my passion for fitness altogether. Became a personal trainer there. Yeah. Took a break from it. I was in a car accident, herniated 3 discs in my spine, so I had to stay at the gym for about a year. But that motivated me to come back even stronger, and decided just to pursue entrepreneurship in the personal training field.
So you're basically rehabbing for a year?
Yes, on my own. Had one client actually up here in Dallas the entire year. She was actually originally from the Rio Grande Valley too, so I thought that was pretty cool. But got to build my experience with her, and once I was healed, I went full force in 2019.
By the way, the last time a president, or at that time was a former soon-to-be president, visited McAllen, Texas was Trump.
Trump, yeah.
So we'll be talking about Trump today. We'll be talking about Andrew Tate today. We're going to be talking about college today. We're going to be talking about parenting and your mental well-being at your job to be an effective parent today. And then there's going to be some videos here that we're going to react to, very interesting videos here that's around how to tell if a girl doesn't like you, who's your inner circle, Muhammad Ali on God, who lacks sex, and is New York landlord saying that the golden age of being a landlord is over? Heads up, real estate investors out there. So, by the way, in the Valley, when we went out there to the Valley, I literally did a Facebook Live video from the river, the Rio Grande. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing this Facebook, and I said, we need to build a wall. People are like, what are you talking about? Build a wall? So I was like, making people, pissed off at what me saying the wall. I said, no, you need to build a wall around your life about who you let in and let out. What are you thinking about? What are you thinking about? So, but in McAllen, Texas, I tell you this, I couldn't find a bad taco.
No, never. It's the best Mexican food ever.
Period.
People are always like, Austin this, Austin that. I'm like, no, you need to go 5 hours south.
Well, stay posted because we have some interesting news here about McAllen, Texas, that even Lexi didn't even know about, coming from McAllen. So let's jump into it. Trump gets indicted yesterday. For the very first time, a former president is arrested, indicted on criminal charges. So let's take a look at our screen here real quick. So Trump rages about being indicted in a social media post about his indictment. I guess that pissed off he can't spell the word indictment. So he's basically went on a rant yesterday, as you know him. Mm-hmm. He went out there, first ever. This is an attack on our country, the likes of which has never been seen before. Is likewise a continued attack on once free and fair elections. The USA is now a third world nation. So not only did he call out his enemies, but was also calling out the state of this country. A nation in serious decline, so sad. This is unprecedented times. The last 2 weeks in the news, in our world, has been unprecedented times. What are your thoughts here on Trump getting arrested, fingerprinted, mugshotted?
This man, Trump, man, one of the things that, today we're definitely be speaking about Andrew Tate as well, Matt. And one of the things that I recognize about Trump, Andrew Tate, and also Elon Musk, the guy who took over Twitter, they did something that a lot of people can't do in this country, and that's caused disruption. And that's why a lot of people don't really align within this country, especially when they're completely being opposed and they're being questioned on their values and what they stand on.
Yep.
And you know what, man? The fact that Trump spoke on the idea that we're becoming a third world country, everything that he's speaking on is aligning based off of what he said. Wasn't a couple of days ago that we spoke on that our currency across the world is being replaced, right?
Yep.
They're no longer going to be utilizing U.S. dollar when it comes down to trade. But my thing is, if this is what's going on, because he has 34 charges against his name, and I think it's a minimum of what, 4 years per charge, 4 years per charge. But he pleaded not guilty.
Yep.
Right. And I don't know, man. Do you think all 34 of these charges are actually going to fall through, and Trump's actually going to be be behind bars, and we're going to make history on that?
Here's the crazy part. You know, you got the Democratic, the liberals, right? Listen, we're not a Republican. This is not a Republican show. This is not a Democrat show. We're just observing things from a perspective of somebody that wants to get ahead in this country. Yeah. And sometimes we're getting in this country. In the economics of it all, policies affect how we as entrepreneurs or as investors in our communities and our families affect the way we make our decisions. So, matter of fact, can we look at this on the screen real quick? Here's what it says. The thugs and radical left monsters have just indicted the 45th president of the United States and the leading Republican candidate. So let's just unpack that real quick. So in other words, he believes that, and a lot of people believe, that the judge weaponized to arrest your political opponents. So when you're looking at this, that is not the way a democracy is supposed to work. It's not the way our republic is supposed to work. So there's an attack on our country, our freedoms. They're trying to take away, there's powers that be that want to take away our First Amendment, power of speech. They shut him down.
1,000%.
They want to take away our guns based on what happened a couple weeks ago. They want to take that down. So there's certain amendments that are looking on taking away what this country has been built on, which is a very scary truth about it. And you know, these are some of the things that led to the indictment. Cohen arranged hush money payments back in 2018. Cohen is his attorney, okay? Personal lawyer and fixer for Mr. Trump. And then the DA subpoenas the Trump organization. By the way, this attorney, the DA in charges, but this is not a federal case. This is a state case. That's why he had to go back to New York from Mar-a-Lago, from Florida, to fess up to or not fess up, but to honor the law. And so when you're looking at this DA, he's actually downgraded 52% of felonies to misdemeanors. But he's upgraded these charges, potentially for his misdemeanors, to a Class E felony. And so you can tell that there's a lot of politics and maneuvering here that I don't think is behind closed doors. I think a lot of people can see what's happening. Lexi, what's your thoughts on this?
I don't know if I want to give my transparent thoughts, but I feel like Trump has definitely incited a lot of unnecessary violence throughout people that it kind of deters what actual good points come from him. So despite there was a lot of things that he offered for business owners, entrepreneurs during his tenure as president. Mm-hmm. A lot of us are focused on, the Capitol attack, what he did with how his tax returns
January
can
6th.
never, how his tax returns, are still technically hidden, and how his lawyers are trying to protect that to the highest degree.
They released it and they found out he's barely paying any taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But just like we're entrepreneurs,
Mm-hmm.
what do we want to do? We make a lot of money and not report as much on our
taxes.
It's the taxes.
Yeah.
But he's at a millionaire level though.
Yeah. So I think that's just why we can't really focus on I don't want to say good because people will come for me, but the value that he's added when he was our president. Apart from that, I still just think that he is a bigot, and he definitely just says a lot of unnecessary things that, just like I said, distract the population.
Think about this. You're married to Donald Trump. think about Melania right now. Think from Melania's perspective. She's dealing with this situation right now because her husband screwed a porn star. How do you feel as a wife?
I mean,
Imagine your husband supposedly paid hush money. And by the way, I don't think he's even denying this. He didn't say, I didn't do it in terms of paying a porn star hush money, right? He's just saying these things are not charges. He's not saying I didn't screw her. He's not saying I didn't sleep with her. Now, he may have paid her off, all these different things, but he didn't say he didn't sleep with her. How do you feel right now as a wife?
I mean, she knew who she got in bed with. I feel like if you look at given her history as well, I mean, she's not far off track from his taste. So, to me, I don't think that's very surprising.
So you'd say he's got a type.
Clearly.
Yeah.
I mean, he married her, so he has no problem with, women who are in that career field, to say.
I got you. Yeah. Well, he was he had the pageants, the Miss America, this whole thing. Let's go back here to the screen. So, on 2019, the DA gets it. 2019, Trump lawyers sued to protect his taxes. So you're talking about tax returns earlier. Mr. Vance wins his first key victory at the U.S. Supreme Court. Investigation intensifies. So this is a buildup of over the years of trying to get Trump here. 2021, Supreme Court denies Mr. Trump's final bill to block the release of his returns. March 21, investigation focused to top executive. Alan Weisselberg, Trump Organization's long-serving chief financial officer. And our Seven Figure Squad YouTube channel, we did interview the former attorney for Trump, and he was actually helping him run Trump Corporation, and what he thought his thoughts were. For those of you on the Seven Figure Squad YouTube channel, you might want to look at that. Trump attorney exposes Donald Trump video. Donald Trump Organization is running a 15-year tax scheme. So you were talking about that earlier too, Lexi. New Manhattan DA takes off, and that's Alvin Bragg. That's the guy that put these charges on Trump. They're both Democrats. Mr. Bragg, a former federal prosecutor, retained two of the investigation lead. Mike Palmer is an experienced former federal prosecutor, white-collar defense lawyer. Kerry Dunn as Mr. Vance's general counsel. Now these two prosecutors resigned, leaving the investigation future in doubt. So the prosecutor that was brought on board, they resigned. They came on and said, okay, we're going to do this after further investigation. Now, there's a lot of legal analysts that said pre-law student wouldn't even bring this to a judge. This is how bad these charges are. And it's outside the statute of limitations. But his investigation continues. Weisselberg pleads guilty and agrees to testify against the Trump Organization, the CFO of Trump Organization. Prosecutors turned back hush money. So, if anything, Stormy Daniels is owing legal fees of like $140,000, $150,000 back to Trump, as well as the $500,000 of quote unquote hush money they got sent. Trump Organization that got sent to her. They want it back. The Trump Organization convicted, securing a significant victory for the DA. So a lot of these things have been happening behind closed doors. In the meantime, guess what's happening in the rest of the world? A lot of madness. A lot of things that are really important. And here's the thing: do you think you think this has helped Trump or hurt Trump?
His indictment?
Yeah, you think this indictment, his arrest, has helped Trump or hurt Trump?
I think it's helped him.
Weirdly enough, right?
Yep. His following, the people who believe in him, who want to follow, his leadership and what he has to offer us. His popularity has grown despite, social media trying to shut him down, shut his voice down, taking away his First Amendment. Like, he grew his own platform. What made it popular? Is it him being him, or people against the establishment? People against being shut down, locked down, the voice is silenced, being canceled. You think people are rising up because that's what he's more and more standing for? Yeah, I think it's because he's going against the grain, against status quo, and a lot of people find a hard time. I feel like a lot of people, they like to follow what the media feeds them, what the government feeds them, and he stepped into a powerful role and said no. What's your thoughts, Milton?
You know what, man? I'm actually I'm online right now, and I'm looking up Democratic presidents and hush money, and political parties and hush money. There's been a lineage for years on hush money, and I think just because it's Trump and because he's opposing many people's views, especially when it comes down to the Democratic Party and a lot of liberals, for the people who are completely against Trump and completely for shutting him down completely, the fact that it's him, they went above and beyond to try to decipher every small detail about his past life, or him in his past before presidency, so he can utilize that against him now. But here's the thing: one of the things that, as Lexi said, I think this is actually helping him in a way, at least from my perspective, is the fact that this is happening to Trump. This is actually forcing a lot of people who are his supporters, people within that political party, forcing them to step out and also do the same for other parties. And now, like, the magnifying glass isn't only on Trump, but now they get curious about, how corrupt are our politics. What's right, what's wrong, what policies are being instilled. I've never seen, at least during my time, I've never seen youth. And when I say youth, I want to say, people of the age of 18 and above. I haven't seen them involved in politics,
as much as they are right now.
As much as they are right now.
Yeah, it's, you look back at the first way they were trying to attack him, which is the Russian interference, the dossier.
Yeah.
What was found about that? That was false. Okay. Next one, they want to find the conference call with Ukraine.
Yeah.
He was trying to say, hey, if we do this for you, was a quid pro quo. That's the right. And what they find about that? That was nothing. Mm-hmm. But they impeached him about it. But that was still nothing. And they impeached him. They impeached him again. The January 6th, still nothing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, fourth attack. It's very obvious. And by the way, pre-politics, was Trump loved?
The man was loved.
Everybody loved Trump. Hip hop and artists wanted to have Trump on
these videos.
On his videos. WWE had him.
Yeah,
Vince McMahon had him.
Yeah, he fought him off.
The Apprentice, 14 longest running show on NBC. Before Shark Tank. Shark Tank, I think, is taking that over now.
Yeah.
But let's look at this last clip before we finish this topic on Trump. Trump can still run for president, even after his indictment and even covered from jail. Imagine us for the first time. I mean, in business, I love having the reputation of first two, but this could be a first two having a president criminally arrested, a first two president that gets elected and then thrown in jail, and they can still run and govern from jail.
From jail.
From jail.
I don't know why I visualized an ankle bracelet around Trump while he walks around the White House.
Because the president must be 35 U.S. resident and a natural-born citizen. Boom. The Constitution does not require the president be free from indictment, conviction, or prison. It follows that a person under indictment or prison may run for office and may even serve as president. And what mess would that send to the rest of the world if he's running our country from jail?
I feel like it doesn't matter because the U.S. sends plenty of messages about us and who we are as a country, and we have no shame. So I wouldn't put it past us to vote for somebody that's in jail. I'm sorry.
Get ready for another looting from Chicago Part 2. Remember the last one we had something going on?
Yeah.
I think this is going to cause a lot of chaos within a lot of the blue states, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been pretty nasty with the looting during COVID. And let's look at Ron DeSantis, because Ron DeSantis, the governor from Florida, a weaponization of the legal system because they think that he's gonna, okay, good job. My opponent, because they're both in the Republican Party, my opponent is now thrown in jail. People think that he's gonna okay, it's time for me to rise up and use this opportunity to say, okay, that's why I'm the guy. But this is what he tweeted: the weaponization of legal systems advance a political agenda, turns the rule of law on its head. It's un-American. The Soros-backed Manhattan District Attorney has consistently bent the law to downgrade felonies, we were just talking about earlier, and excuse criminal conduct. Yet now he is stretching a law to target a political opponent. Florida will not assist in an extradition request. In other words, because he was in Florida, to get him out of Florida, U.S. marshal him back to New York, given the questionable circumstances at issue with the Soros-backed Manhattan prosecutor and his political agenda. Well, thank God he didn't have to exercise the extradition. Imagine if that happened. If New York said, we're forcing Florida, you better fly this guy back up. And man, DeSantis saying, this is messy business.
Yeah.
That would have been
it's in your hands.
Standoff. Cool. All right, so let's go here into other news. We were talking about McAllen, Texas earlier. And so some of the best places to live in America. Okay, some of the best places to live in America. Let's go here. 10 best places to live in America. Where your money will go furthest with inflation. We're here in Dallas now. It's kind of the same cost of living in Chicago. Wouldn't you think, Milton? It's kind of fairly similar.
At least the lifestyles that we live, yes.
But but thank God there's less traffic.
Is there?
Bro,
Is
I mean,
there?
yeah, for me it's less traffic.
I don't know, man. I've been hearing a lot of that these. Well, we're considered transplants from the locals. We're considered transplants.
Trans what?
We're transplants. Oh, yes, transplants, plants. Yeah. So there's a lot of local Dallas people, and even people who were born and raised in Texas, who aren't very fond of the people moving down south. Sorry, Lexi. But here's the thing: I found this stat on smartass.com. That study shows that McAllen has the second lowest drug poisoning mortality rate, the 7th lowest percentage of people engaging in excess drinking, and 8th lowest in violent crime rates. Sounds very, 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 very.
So let's take a look at this list. So at number 10 is McAllen, Texas.
Yeah.
So where's San Carlos, Miss McAllen, Texas over here?
That I was.
And you're from McAllen.
I'm actually from Donna, Texas, but it's city after city after city. There,
Okay,
it's
there.
like just one long highway that everything runs along. Excuse me.
How many exits to get off to your neck of the woods there?
From McAllen,
Yeah.
I'd say about like 7.
Seven
It's not
exits.
far. Yeah, it is not far at all. But McAllen altogether, if you're from the Valley, you just know it's North McAllen, South McAllen.
Yeah.
You know, it's not necessarily these, San Carlos, Muñiz that you identify it as. But McAllen is probably the best city to move in, down there. It is very, if you're business oriented, your business will thrive, to say the least. But yeah, I definitely, I've told all my real estate friends especially that now is the time to go down there and buy. Land is cheap, building a house is cheap in comparison to
What's
up
the average
here.
house in McAllen, Texas?
To build?
Build or
I think
or buy?
the median. I mean, if you're looking at a normal house, is 50,000. But
What?
if you wanna, if you're looking at a beautiful home that you kind of building out here in the outskirts, like what Salina, Prosper,
Yeah.
you're
That type of house.
$500,000 home, you're looking at 200,000
No
there.
way.
I promise you. You need to go look at some. That's why I tell everybody, like, now is the time. I'd say the Valley in itself is about 4 to 5 years behind in terms of, I mean, every
The rest of
industry.
Texas.
Yeah. Whether it's the sports industry, real estate,
Yeah.
restaurant industry, I say, like, it is behind. So now's the time.
So we were there a few years ago when Trump was being elected, because that's where he's talking about building the wall, right? And I did a Facebook Live of build a wall, everybody, build a wall, and everybody's mad at me, right? And I said, no, build a wall of who you let in and out of your life. What are you talking about? But anyway, right there in the Rio Grande River, and all of the Mexicanos said, oh, bro, is that go down there by the tree by the stop sign. I left my chancletas over there, crossing the border, but couldn't find a bad taco in McAllen, Texas. So McAllen, Texas at number 10, D-Ball. Number 9, again, another, I guess, subdivision of McAllen, Texas at number 8. Bridgeport, Alabama. Sweet Home, Arkansas, not Alabama. Sweet Home, Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas. Shout out to Little Rock, Arkansas. Shout out to Jay and Dr. Julia Young out there running her office in Little Rock, Arkansas. Dilley, Texas. Where's Dilley?
Dilly.
Dilly.
I don't know where that
Okay. South Dakota, Pine Ridge. Number 3, Pearl River, Mississippi. Number 2, would you care to share that name? I keep mispronouncing it.
Chattahoochee.
I found a city out here in Dallas called Waxahachie. So, so there's a Waxahachie in Chattahoochee. Imagine where you from? I'm from the Hoochie, baby. Florida. I don't know where that's at, but number 1, another subdivision of McAllen, Texas. Look at that.
Heidelberg, McAllen.
So what? I went down there and I found out what the biggest employers were in McAllen, Texas. It was a lot of hospitals out there, solid hospitals and schools. So, what other businesses are down there in McAllen, Texas?
I'd say a lot of people go out and work in the oil rigs. I'd say they find, especially they don't pursue, I'd say of surrounding areas, Victoria, Alice, that they migrate, and it's like maybe an hour and a half outside of the Valley, so it's not it's kind of like a drive in Dallas if you're driving from downtown to Frisco, downtown to North Dallas. So I'd say that's one of the most popular jobs as well. I'm trying to think, because it's been, I've been here in Dallas, so I'd say permanently for 8 years, but I go home every year, and it's growing. I think the restaurant industry is probably what's growing the most in the entertainment
Services,
industry.
yeah, okay.
Service altogether. There's only one strip down there of nightlife, and it's called 17th Street.
Yeah.
And
How many clubs?
When I first graduated back in 2014 from high school, I'd say there was like a handful, maybe 6, 8. And now it's I'd
bumping.
say there's 20, yeah.
Uh-oh.
And it's
Like a deep
expanded
element out
into,
there.
yes, it's
Really?
expanded to food trucks. Like I said, the whole service industry is expanding. And on the flip side, I think the sports industry is growing down there. I think a lot of, where I went to school, a lot of people would come over from the border. I was going to school in Hidalgo, actually. So they would come over, go to school, then walk back.
Across the border. Mm-hmm. So they get American education to go back to Mexico.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So family was living in Mexico. They would just have their kid walk over and then come back, which
Nice.
I think it was a great way to
Reminds me of
capitalize.
Tijuana and
Yeah.
Mexicali, Calexico.
Yeah,
the
that's
southern
how
border.
close it was. Yeah.
But listen, I would say this selfishly: if you want to open up a business in McAllen, Texas, a lot of Latino there, I would imagine. Of course, right?
Yes.
A lot of Spanglish
Yep.
action going on there too as well. Open up an insurance business. We got a lot of people out there that need money, assistance, education, financial literacy. Open up a business in McAllen, Texas, in the insurance industry. There's a lot of realtors out there or mortgage people out there, but a financial services business, bam. If you teach people the rules of the money game and get the financial products and services that help them secure that wealth for the family that they're fighting for to come here in America to build, you can thrive there in McAllen, Texas with that type of business. Speaking of the insurance business, let's go to this next topic here. The best ways to invest your cash right now. So Lexi, I want to ask you this question. How did you get your financial education? How did you get aware of money from a woman's perspective of finance? Because men treat money differently than women. I've been married now. I can see my wife do. I got daughters, so I can see they treat money differently.
I do. Well, not the Valley, that's for sure. I'd say the education from the Valley was not very good, to say the least. I'd say going to UT Dallas and really surrounding myself, it's a very cultured school, so you have, it's very diverse. Asians, Middle Easterns, and I'd say just hanging around different demographics, because I grew up around 99% Mexican population. That kind of did help me have a different type of view when it came to money. And then I got into the healthcare administration right after college and working side by side with my administrator. I used to judge him at first with every time I walked to his computer, it was always sheets pulled up, just looking at the bank account, looking at the accounts receivable, looking at
gotcha, like Google Sheets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Accounts receivable, accounts payable. Every time I walked up to his desk and I'm like, okay, like, do you have nothing else to do? But on the flip side, the way, he had grown the private practice with the doctors, I saw, and I constant conversations with him. He was 63 at the time before I got out of the practice. A lot of conversations with him, and he actually is Persian, so I think just his experience coming from Iran, and I think he came and got his bachelor's in agriculture, but still found his way over to healthcare. Healthcare is where the money's at as well.
That's it.
I have to give it to him. Though we bumped heads,
Yeah.
a lot of our conversations definitely helped me take that leap of faith and pursue my business as an entrepreneur.
I love it.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at money, best ways is invest your cash right now. Let's look at this the article here in Fortune magazine. Move your cash to a new high yield home. In my workshops, I always talk about the 4 homes of money, because money needs a home. Money needs to be protected. Money needs to thrive and grow. And so here are some of the homes. To find a new home for that cash to earn a better rate, especially when you consider that inflation is up to 6% year over year. In other words, if your money isn't growing more than 6%, and let's say your money's only growing at 3%, you got a pay raise this year from your employer at 1 or 2%, you are behind the money curve. In other words, your money today is less than it was last year due to inflation. So taking advantage of these things that we're going to be talking about here will help you potentially get further ahead. So where are the things here? So let me just so number one, high yield. They talk about high yield savings. I don't know where they put it in this article. So here, high yielding insured savings accounts is a great way to maximize the power of compounding. Of course, people are feeling a little weary about what's going on with the banks. Again, if your account is less than $250,000 and your bank is FDIC insured, and the bank goes under, again, FDIC insurance, but ask the bank if they paid the premium for their FDIC insurance coverage to make sure your money, if it's less than $250,000. I think Giannis, Giannis A14, I believe is the face of the NBA, not a franchise, but the NBA. He split his money to multiple banks just to make sure that if those banks went under, at least the FDIC insurance can come in and take care of and get his money back. He says, rejigger your contributions. A lot of investors set up automatic withdrawals from the paycheck to their 401k or from their checking account to savings, brokerage, or Roth IRA accounts or insurance accounts. It's a helpful strategy, but it can mean that it needs adjusting from time to time. It may be a good time to consider where you're allocating your extra cash. But before you move your money around, first take a holistic approach and not only look at how you're investing, but what the goals are for the long term. For the long term, financial planners recommend. By the way, when it comes to money, history favors those who plan for the long term. Lots of times people make emotional decisions in the short term, causing them unnecessary losses that they could otherwise have earned had they not moved their money. Like, for example, Milton, Lexi, when do you want to buy things? When they're at full retail price or when they're on sale?
Discount, man.
Discount all the way, right? You like that? If I got some, what's your brand? Are you a Prada girl? Are you a Louis girl? Are you a Gucci girl?
No, it's funny that you asked this because I really don't care for name brand stuff.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. She's an Under Armour girl.
Nike. We'll go Nike.
She's a Nike girl.
Triple D girl.
Yeah. I'll get my own brand.
Triple
but yeah,
D.
Nike is probably the most name brand I pursue, but otherwise, like, I don't really care. Yeah.
By the way, that's kind of like on your list of checklist. By the way, my wife.
That's wild,
bro.
That's wild.
You remind me of my wife because I get my wife a YSL bag. I got her Burberry bag. I got all these. If you go inside my wife's closet, I got 4 different bags I got for her. What does she bring? Samsonite backpack. You can at least knock the dust off.
Yeah.
You know. Can you help us understand why you're not like a brandish type of girl? Like we're not gonna find you with a big purse. What's your perspective on that?
I'd say growing up, the way I did it was, I don't say in poverty, but it was a paycheck to paycheck lifestyle. Single mom, you know, it was very. We were not frivolous. So I think I took that with me and valued the things that were more important to me, experiences. You'll find me spending money on trying new food or maybe going on a trip that's somewhere I've never been before I'm like, oh, I want to buy this bag. I don't know. I feel like bags lose value. Mm-hmm. And you can head over to Mexico and just get a nice little dupe bag. I know.
You can get Fucci.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Folex.
Yeah, I'm curious to that comment and to this dynamic. The idea of being so infatuated with brands and you know, purses and makeup and all these other things. Now, this may be far-fetched to ask. Do you guys think this is more of a feminine-like energy that really go for those type of things versus the masculine type of energy that are more conservative? They really don't care. They're more on the laid-back side. Now, the reason I ask that is because the way you described your upbringing, I would assume, based off of what you said, and correct me if I'm wrong, I would assume that because of the way you were brought up, you know, single mom, XYZ, financial issues, do you feel that on some level placed you in a position where it forced you to attain some form of masculine energy, you know, trying to be that stronghold in your household to help your mom or to help your family, you know, whether it's emotional strength, mental strength, just being there, which kind of, I don't want to say robbed you of that feminine energy, but kind of took that concept of a way of like, oh, I want all the shiny, glamorous, you know, diamonds and purses and XYZ. So would you guys say that it could be feminine energy?
I don't know if it was feminine because I mean, I was coming through high school. I wanted the starter jackets.
Yeah.
I wanted the J's.
Yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with feminine energy. I think it has everything to do with identity. I'm gonna actually go off on a little tangent and get away from the materialism and talk about Instagram and the blue check marks. So,
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, so Instagram made $660 million in a span of a day almost, getting with everybody who purchased those blue check marks. I feel like people search for validation and look to be accepted and seen in a different light when you have, you know, these blue check marks. And let's translate that to real life. When you have these bags, when you're wearing these shoes, when, you know, you're sporting the newest Balenciaga, whatever. Did I even say that right? That's how you know I'm not even familiar. It's that I just really think that there's more of an identity issue than it is, you know, masculine, feminine energy. hopefully that makes sense.
By the way, look, can you share my screen real quick? To your point, Instagram made a whopping 660 mil, and it did by selling 44 million blue checks for $15 a month each. By the way, that's monthly.
Yeah.
So it's $15 a month each. So it's 660 million a month if people want to keep paying the monthly subscription for the blue check mark. So I also want to say this before I lose this thought. The massive, this is April's financial literacy month. The massive life underinsurement of Americans today is about 100 million Americans are underinsured, meaning if I have a family, if I have responsibilities, people are dependent upon me taking care of them. I am underinsured. Something happens to me that if I die or I get disabled, people are financially suffering because of my lack of financial responsibility with insurance. But insurance can take care of that. So I asked my agents today to see what $15 a month. So would you pay, Lexi, would you pay? And by the way, shout out to Vivian Bacon. Shout out to Andre Ducille. Shout out to Cassie for sending me these quotes. Would you pay to get $100,000 at 25 years old? You can get for $13 a month, $100,000 for your family. So notice something happens to you, $100,000 goes to your family. Or something happens to you, heart attack. Ooh, if you get into a car accident and you can't help yourself, a portion of this $100,000 can help you put money in your pocket so therefore you can pay the mortgage, the business rent, your employees. Okay, so would you pay $15 a month for $100,000 at 25? And then let's say you're 30, it's $14. Let's say you're 35, it's $14.78. So see how small incremental that charge is? So $13 to $14 to $50 between 25, 30, and 35 years old. For $100,000 of cash, it pays you not only a death benefit, but also a living benefit if you are alive. In case something happened to you, you survive a heart attack, you survive a stroke, you survive an accident, a portion of this $100,000 can come your way for $15 a month. So 44 million people said, I'd rather get a blue check mark instead. Versus saying, let me take care of my family responsibilities. So what do you think the motivation for people to get the blue check mark is all about? Is it the Gucci bag, the Louis bag mentality?
It is. It's just feeling like they have an identity. A lot of people don't actually. I feel like it's because of social media. A lot of people have found it harder to find their purpose, their niche, what they're more inclined to do, and why they're here to serve.
Do you think you think they should have more of a higher criteria or barrier to entry to get a blue check mark instead of just paying $15 a month?
I mean, on Instagram side, absolutely not. They knew exactly who the target audience was and their demographic, and that's why everybody brought it up. So on their end,
they didn't care.
Nope, they got their money.
They saw Elon Musk do it for Twitter. And Zuck said, I'm going to do that for Insta.
Yeah, I mean, that's more money in their pocket. I don't blame them. That was phenomenal on their end. On the flip side, in terms of how it affects people mentally, their identity, like I feel like we're in an identity crisis. So I
personal
think
identity crisis.
Personal, yes.
Individually and also as a country. I'll tell you this. I'll be on here to admit I paid $15 a month for it, but again, I have 360,000 followers.
Yeah.
Because a couple of reasons why I did it. Number one. About a year ago, 2 years ago, last year, I got hacked, and someone was trying to get me to send me $35,000 to unlock my. You remember that they completely shut down my IG. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start another one from brand new. I'm not getting hustled here. I'm being social media bullied, whatever case that is. I'm just gonna start a new one. You're gonna get to $35,000 for me. And then I went to a PR agency, Lexi, and said, well. Okay, now that it's back up, you can pay us $15,000 and we'll call our buddies at Instagram to make sure you get a blue check mark, right? And I'm talking to another buddy of mine, he's an NFL player, and he says, yeah, the NFL team went to go visit Instagram and basically they formed a line, even in college, they're like, okay, you're blue check, blue check, blue check. So unless you're in the know, because how many times have I submitted my information to get my verification and never got it verified? And the reason why I'm doing it too is because there's, 30 accounts of me, fake accounts of me, money smart guys with an S at the end trying to get you to get into crypto or day trading. So I did it to protect my audience.
Yeah.
That I am who I say I am. But then again, there's people out there with 400 followers, they got a blue check mark.
100.
So-
So yeah, I do think the criteria is very different from like your circumstances
Yeah.
versus somebody who's just like, I want to be noticed and don't actually have much going for myself. I do think there should have been criteria with what value do you provide? You know, what are you posting on your Instagram that could serve people, help them grow?
Yeah.
Feed pics.
Yeah. What's your thought on blue checks?
Same thing, man. I think. Well, this is something that I also started doing. I think for me personally, it was more of a business move for reach. I noticed that when we acclimated that itself, the reach became a little bit further. The DMs became a little bit more packed, and for some reason, because a lot of people do find their identity on social media, as Alexi said, and for some reason, when they see that blue check mark, that edifies them on some level, especially when it comes down from people who really don't utilize social media that much, don't understand the algorithm or the business aspect of it, and they just see an automatic blue check mark. For some reason, they feel like there's more weight on what that person has to say. So I've utilized that for my own personal business, and I've also noticed that there's been increase in traffic in my DMs. There's been increase in my revenue on a month to month.
Yep.
There's been so much more increase on the amount of calls that I've gotten from people trying to fly me out to different states to work with their teams, versus where I was then, right? And I'm not saying it's, you know, for some people it might say, oh yeah, it's just the blue check mark that made it happen because they see it and they're like, holy shit. This is what, you know, he's a legit guy, and then some of it could be also, okay, this guy's been posting consistently for the last couple months, and I like his stuff, and okay, I'm gonna give it a shot. But I think that's more of a reinforcement, at least for me, it's more of a reinforcement. Like, okay, you know, it's for people who don't really understand the business aspect of how to use social media for their business. I think that's an advantage versus like as you said, people who have 100 to 300 followers on Instagram, and they just use it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Selfies or whatever the case may be, and they have it, then I understand that it's more of a clout chasing. Yeah,
Cloud chasing type of move. Yeah, I think if it matters, I believe there should be different criteria in order for you to get the blue check mark. You just can't have 100 followers and you just started 30 days ago.
Yeah.
Because then it also reduces the value of the blue check mark. And speaking of identity, in this next topic here, you're talking about identity and identity as an individual growing up, as a parent raising their children. This next article, Jordan, if we go to this one right here, parents right now are feeling that, majority of Americans now thinking that a college degree isn't worth it. Okay, and here's a couple reasons why. The National Assessment of Education Progress results show that only 24% of Texas 8th graders are proficient in math and 23% in reading, the lowest scores in 2 decades. Texas public schools, especially those low-income populations, have been failing students for over a decade. An education bill has been introduced to provide education savings accounts, ESAs, to eligible families, providing relief in the form of $8,000 to use for education expenses such as tuition, tutoring, textbooks, and therapies. However, education freedom is the best way to level the playing field. And with ESA's education, funding flows to students instead of the school systems. But when families have greater control of the children's education, public schools perform better because they are driven to compete to attract and keep students. It's time for Texas policymakers to stand strong and finally put students first by reforming the education system and ensuring that funding allows students, not systems. With that being said, I got caught up in the first figure there that 24% of Texas 8th graders and 23% are proficient in reading. But the flip side is I'm pretty sure they know what gay BCs are. I'm pretty sure they know what their pronouns are. I'm pretty sure they're really proficient now in what type of gender they want to identify as, which is crazy. The last couple of decades, and by the way, I'm talking about things right now that just didn't get incorporated last year, but it's been slowly getting massaged into the education system. And Lexi, Milton, matter of fact, me and you don't have a college degree, but we're entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Okay, Lexi, you're a college graduate. Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts on getting a college degree?
Well, I want to actually touch up on the statistics. So I actually come from the low-income population to where our education system was terrible. I do think the only reason I was able to advance where I did and as far as I did into college was because of my dad was a teacher. So he was involved in the district and was able to I got tutoring on the side from him, and I was finished with college math by the time I was a freshman in high school. So I feel like I had a different experience growing up versus your low income. which kind of gave me a different perspective going into college. When I was in college, for me, it was always...
Where'd you go?
UT Dallas. Oh,
Okay.
wait, high school?
Or college?
Yeah, UT Dallas. So I loved it there. It was I was there for 3 years, finished in 3 years, came in with 40 college credits.
Damn,
I just
finished in
zoomed
3
through.
years?
Yeah, because I took college. I had
Educated, man.
Educated, sure.
But as somebody who does have my degree, I'm not utilizing it at all in what I'm doing right now. I mean, I'm a personal trainer. I work with people, psychology. It did give me a little advantage, but I don't think I've utilized anything. So
How much was college per year?
I was on a 4-ad scholarship, so I would
She's
say
really smart.
UT
modest.
By the way,
Dallas,
do it. If you can get a 4-hour scholarship.
3.96.
Damn.
Yeah, I was valedictorian in my old high school, graduated 5 out of 596 in high school. Sorry, I'm not modest.
5
I'm
out of
educated.
596?
Yes.
Damn.
I was a little nerd, still a nerd.
I walked out with a 2.2.
Bro, I was 2.2. Just to stay on because I was good in gym.
Lexi's out here getting hot. It's okay, Lexi. It's okay. Do your thing, baby girl.
So yeah.
I'd say I forgot the point where I was making
the point was with the cost of it because you're able to go through.
Right.
But if
My
you weren't-
advice, well, to be honest, my advice is if you don't have the grants, you don't get the scholarship, don't go straight to a university because you will get the same type of credits and classes at a lesser cost at what is it? Community college.
Like a JUCO.
Junior college, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say go that route, and then if you feel like whatever you're pursuing requires further education, I'd say, pursue that university. But I feel like that's only with STEM. I don't think that with everything else, when it comes to even just social media, entrepreneurship, whether you're pursuing, me, it was the personal training side, if you're pursuing insurance, whatever the case is, I think you're much better off working under somebody that, shadowing somebody, being an intern for somebody, going and finding a job that's going to build your experience. Jobs nowadays, they don't even really care for education. Just on the STEM side, they'll have you require a master's, require a doctorate, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But if you look and you go on Indeed and you look on all those qualifications, they want 5, 6, 7 years experience. Still
Even if you have a college degree but no experience, and that's still not hiring you.
Right. And, there's somebody close in my life who actually has a hard time finding a job, and they actually have their master's from prestigious universities. So it's like, no, I think your networking is what matters, and your experience and who you're working under. I think that's where our education system is failing us as well. Just with K through 12 is, I don't think we're being taught the right things. Nobody teaches you financial literacy. We're learning about, the government. We're learning A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And to be honest, till this day, I've never used that in my life. But I think we're being taught the wrong things, and it all starts from, our education system as adolescents.
Yeah. I just remember the periodic table, H2O and CO2, O2, that's it. I'm done.
Trying to figure out how to count to 10.
So if you didn't have a scholarship, how much would UT Dallas have cost?
Don't quote me, because
But
I
ballpark.
don't
Give me
know.
a ballpark.
I don't know the amount now, but I think tuition was about $20K a year, if I'm not
And
mistaken.
that's just tuition.
That's just tuition. That's not housing. That's not books.
How much were books?
I
like a
want to say I
semester?
spent about $1,200 on
books?
per
semester?
semester, thereabout.
$2,400
Because it's not just books. Sometimes it's programs that they require
Yeah.
you to buy.
Sure.
And just little things throughout. Or if there's specific readings, not just textbooks, they'll have you find like readings for British literature and whatnot. Specific readings that you'll have to go through, and all on your dime.
Because one of the enemies to wealth is having to pay interest and other people before you start paying yourself, and the money doesn't grow and compound for yourself. And so I have 3 older kids. I have a 28-year-old son and twin girls that are 21. None of them have a college degree, but they're all working. They're all very happy, no debt. And all their friends, debt, this. And what's worse, you're spending $20,000 a year, plus maybe another $20,000 in room and board and $2,400 in books. And they're coming in there from a capitalistic dad. And my fear would be them coming into a college class 1 year later, 2 years later, 3 years later. Hey, Dad, you're so greedy. Why are you a millionaire? Why don't you give it to other people? So in other words, I'm afraid of the indoctrination of the liberal conversation into a capitalistic conservative dad that isn't Republican, that isn't Democrat. That's just me just being a steward of my money and grounded in my faith and beliefs. I don't want my kids bad naming me because here I am busting my tail to make them an opportunity, give them an opportunity to go to college, and now they're hating their dad because all their friends are saying the same type of stuff. Were you experiencing that in college? Of the, socialist, billionaires are bad, and you did?
Yeah,
Wow.
I'd say I did, especially because, like I told you, it was very diverse there. And if you look into,
Even
if
in
you're familiar
Dallas?
with,
Wow.
well, yeah, in Dallas. But if you look into, if you're familiar with cultures and what different cultures push, I think, there's a reason why you have a lot of, I'd say, to me personally, there's Middle Easterns, Africans, and Asians who find more success in the STEM field because they're pushed towards that direction. So it's bound by nature. There's a lot of, I have friends personally who've dropped out of school, pursued the entrepreneurship route, and parents frowned upon that because that's just not the societal norm. Yep. So I do think that with, education system comes certain norms and stereotypes that a lot of people think that they have to follow. And it wasn't until I decided to get out of the healthcare field and pursue, fitness, health and wellness through my gym, where I started really expanding my mind and realizing like there's much more to this than what the education system has, taught me and made me believe.
Let's jump into this link here about 8,000 steps a day. How much is 8,000 steps a day? So how does somebody quantify 8,000 steps to cut mortality to risk? What is 8,000 steps?
Buy yourself a Fitbit or an Apple Watch, man. One of the easiest things.
Is it like a quarter mile? Is it a half mile? Or I
I don't know, what does it translate to, really?
yeah.
Let's
Is
see.
it?
Anyway, it cuts mortality. So, walking 8,000 steps is 4 miles. I should
4
read the
miles.
article.
4 miles.
I should read the article.
4 miles a day.
It's about 4 miles. But my mother's got a thing for 10,000. Was it 10,000
Yeah,
steps?
it's,
It's
8
10,000.
to 10 is
Yeah.
what the recommended rate is. I tell my clients the same thing. But yeah, even if, some people can't afford the Fitbit, they can't afford the Apple Watch, there's actually, if you go on your phone, I don't know about Androids. Sorry, I'm the iPhone gang.
Here you go. Okay, go my iPhone. Go where?
If you go to the health app, if you type in health
Yep.
and you go into, it'll say activity,
Yep.
and there should be steps there.
Okay.
And if you keep your phone on your person, it pretty much tracks your steps for you.
Wow.
So if you don't have to go make that.
Oh, I was already doing it. I've already got 899 steps from this morning.
That's perfect. And that's only when your phone only counts when it's on your person. So if you're having it down and you're walking around everywhere, it's not even counting that. So I encourage my clients to, because I'm not going to get into the emissions of the Apple Watch and wearing it, whatever.
This is cool.
Yeah. So if you just have weird, like you don't like wearing watches or you don't like, having that on your person, I'd say 100% keep your phone on your person and try and track that way.
Cool.
You know.
What your thoughts on
No,
this?
yeah, for sure. And there's different ways because I don't know if you experienced this. Like for a lot of my clients, like for example, Matt, I think he can vouch for me in this. I've told him multiple times, like, hey man, when are you gonna go do your cardio? He's like,
He's diving me out, man.
you need some
dropping
cardio in
some-
your life, man. Because he's a big networking guy, and when you're heavily involved in the amount of network that he does, it's going to involve a little bit of liquor, and it's going to involve smoking some cigars just so you can fellowship and talk to people. And I want to make sure that his lungs are in a good place. And sometimes since I know he's not doing his cardio due to the fact that he's consistently busy, I try to up the way we work out at the gym by combining multiple exercises into one big giant set. But for the people who don't like the idea of getting on a treadmill and going for a run, jog, or walk, there's multiple ways that you can actually get your steps in. And it's as easy as what I see on your Instagram, walking with your dog.
Yeah,
adorable,
my favorite thing.
Adorable dog. Catching up with a friend. If you have a call for your business, jump on that call and go outside your office, just walk around a little bit. Ditch the email. Like if you're working in an office with someone and their office is like 4 or 5 doors down, instead of sending them an email or calling them, walk over to their office. If you're at home during commercial breaks, whether you're watching a show or you're on Netflix or whatever the case may be, during those breaks or once one episode is over, get up and take a couple steps. Implementing any form of walking. Nowadays, I have one of my friends who lives here in Dallas, 23-year-old kid. The man does not get off the couch when it comes down to eating. All he does is Uber Eats.
Sheesh.
And we have a grocery store literally walking distance from our household. He can easily get up and walk out there. But here's the thing: also walking is amazing for your lower back, and many people don't understand that. You know, two-ways walking can actually help your lower back. It increases your blood flow to your lower back. And because obviously when you have decreased physical activity, it can cause small blood vessels in your spine to become constricted, which reduces blood flow to your spinal muscles. But walking around helps them open up those blood vessels, increasing the supply of oxygen and nutrients to these muscles, which then also loosens you up. Whenever I pin you on the table and I tell you, hey, get up, walk a little bit, you'll start noticing that as you start walking a little bit more.
That's when I start feeling.
You start feeling the release.
Yeah.
And it flushes out all those toxins within your body as well.
Yeah.
So look, just 8,000 steps. It's more than just walking and burning some calories. It's helping your body as a whole, and also increasing oxygenated blood to your brain, which then also increases your cognitive and helps you remember things and helps you recall things a little bit better and process life a little bit better as well on a physiological standpoint.
Yeah, I mean the way you get me to do my cardio too is like you give me very little rest in between sets. And I'm like, this guy's like, bro, can we get a minute real quick, bro? It's like, it's just like, you're all right? I said, bro, you haven't done another set, bro. I guarantee you're doing
mouth to mouth.
Mouth to mouth.
my CPR thing's expired, man, so good luck with that. It's about to be a nice little lawsuit against me.
That's hilarious. What's your thoughts on making sure people get their steps in and stay active? Because for me, going to the gym helps me out with mental health. I mean, you have a psychology degree. Mm-hmm. I mean, just working out, just exercising and keeping the body moving. When I wasn't moving my body, that's when a lot of things just started decaying. And he's been working with me the last 3 years now to undecay, bust that rust off me, because 17 years of military injury, I was like, I can't move anymore. Just making a lot of excuses without accountability.
Yeah.
What's your experience?
Well, firsthand experience, I'd say I was clinically diagnosed with depression and anxiety at one point, and I really trialed and errored everything before getting put on medication. I was on medication for 30 days, and I was like, I absolutely cannot do this.
Wow.
It was Celexa, and I was just like, I can't. And
it's so crazy. I hear that more and more often these days.
Doctors resort to it, and it's worked for some people, but I think that for me, it just didn't, and I was like, I need a way out, and I found my way to the gym, and it was actually became like a scapegoat for me. I loved it. I fell in love with it. I was able to zone out. It started with walks, and it's funny how you said, if you're in an office, whatever, you go walk. There was a receptionist at my office. She was 65 years old, and it never failed. After lunch, she'd eat her lunch, and then she was just walking around the building. She walked 3, 4, 5 times. She's like, I got to get my steps in. I'm like, you have no excuse. Neither do I. So that's when I started I started my walks with her, and then I just started packing my bag. That kind of started formulating really good habits for me. Yeah. And that's kind of what I preach to my clients now. Like, during our consultation, I asked them, I'm like, do you know how many steps a day you get in? I'm like, no. Then I walk them through the app, say, hey, or through the phone. They show me, and they're like, I only average 2,000. How am I supposed to get 10? And that's when I start giving them examples. They're like, oh, it's really that easy. And then boom. It's made the hugest difference for me. I mean, I went from, staying away from the gym to just even getting my walks in, and just with my 3 times a week of resistance training, and I lost 45 pounds. So yeah, it's a game changer for sure. Like, a lot of people just like, is it really that simple? I'm like, it is. We as humans have a tendency to make things more complex than they really need to be. So yeah, I encourage people to get out. And the weather's nice now in Dallas. Well, I mean, it woke up and it was like 40 this morning, but for the most part, it's nice. So yeah, everybody needs to get out. Your
body is your temple. That's God's temple, man. Take care of your temple. Because if you're out there, you want to go out there and talk to people about the good Lord, the big man upstairs, you're going to have a hard time doing it if you're breathing hard. And I always also say this too: if you want to talk to people about your Savior, you want to talk to people about your faith, you want to talk to people about your product, your service, whatever the case may be, and you're not looking the part, and people are, sadly, I'm not saying that it's right, but would you agree that people judge a book by its cover?
They do.
Right?
I had a pretty good clientele when I started out in 2020. The pandemic actually made my career, and I'm so grateful for that. But when I finally lost that weight, shed those extra pounds, I definitely say my business was a lot more successful than what it was before.
Because you looked the part.
Yes, because I looked the part.
Of course. I remember I when I got out of the military, for maybe about 2 weeks, I thought I was going to be a personal trainer. I was working at Bally's, right?
Shout out Bally's.
Shout out Bally's, which is now
R.I.P.
LA. Is it LA Fitness now?
LA Fitness bought it out.
And so I remember the number one personal trainer is making 6 figures a year. I'm like, really? You can make 6 figures in training? Yeah, okay. And then next thing you know, the guy had a pot belly. I'm like, how's this guy making 6 figures as a damn trainer? And I found out what his clientele was. It wasn't the people that was looking a certain way. It was just weird that he can have a pot belly but he just knew what exercises to run. But a lot of his clientele were 300, 400, 500 pound folks were around. So in other words, around him, they didn't feel so intimidated.
Yeah.
But maybe a person that's jacked, they may not. So just like, it depends on your niche and niche in business. Speaking of people that find their niche, this guy called out the establishment. This guy called out everybody. Woke up young men around the world, was the most Googled, searched man on the internet. But Andrew Tate recently just got released from prison. If we can look at this article here, right here, Jordan Freed Andrew Tate says he has absolute clarity of thought after house arrest, release from jail. And by the way, this is what he looked like after house arrest. Finally got to smoke a cigar. And for those of you that Andrew Tate, bro, does he look bigger?
Yeah, he looks thicker, man.
He looks thicker, man.
Boy's thick.
Dad bod.
Is it?
She's that dad bod.
What's the dad bod part? The belly?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he couldn't do cardio.
I know.
But apparently this is the way he was walking in jail.
Yeah.
And he said he did something like 7,000 push-ups.
Yeah.
While he was in 60 days. But after his release, Tate claimed that there's 0% chance of him being found guilty of something he did not do, because he said that he'd been in 24-hour lockdown since last year and had absolute clarity of mind. And they believe that he's in some part of human trafficking, rape, and crime gang offenses. And guess what? They still haven't charged him with anything. So they put him for 2 months under arrest, 24-hour lockdown, without any charges. I'm not gonna force a narrative that's not there, but in addition to him, 6 women have been identified as his victims, but 4 have been charged. Him and his brother has been charged, Tristan, and 2 other women as part of his crew. And apparently, there's 6 women have been identified as by prosecutors as victims. What's your thoughts overall, Lex? I'm curious. A lot of women today hate this guy, Andrew Tate, for his misogyny, his prejudice against women.
Yeah. I don't, actually. There's a lot of points that he's made and that has surfaced online that a lot of people focus on that I think are very true. Like I said, we kind of touched on it a little earlier with Trump and figures such as that. Like, when you go against the grain of the status quo, like, you are already, like, disliked strongly. There's been no proof of anything. A lot of people have recanted. I think the women recanted their points as well. I believe in due process, and if they haven't found anything, I mean, even house arrest, I feel like he should have just never posted the video that showed where he was at, and he would probably still be out doing his thing. In terms of the misogynistic views, I think a lot of women right now don't like people in general, but we're talking about misogyny right now. We've veered away as a society from traditionalism when it comes to a woman, her role, marriage. We talked about feminism and being masculine. I think with the more independence that women have established, which is great, I'm all about women empowerment, and I love I only have female clients. I love women. I think we have veered away a little bit because of the social media. The impact of social media and how we view things. We've never been exposed to these type of opinions of, I could learn somebody's opinion across the world in a matter of seconds, you know what I mean, and be exposed to different things. And I think that's why a lot of people dislike him, because he doesn't care, and as we should. We shouldn't care for what people think of our opinions. He bases a lot of his points on factual evidence, on success rates of marriage, success rates of in the careers of men. That's why people refer to him as Top G. That gets annoying because a lot of people, I just feel like you could just call him Andrew Tate. But outside of that, I mean, I think a lot of women just don't want to listen to a lot of his points because they've already been predisposed to he's a misogynist, he's narcissistic, and I watched a lot of his
because I think a lot of women try to say you need to stay home and take care of the babies and cook me dinner and et cetera, et cetera. But at the same time, here's a flip side too. A lot of men, by the way, men also have their fault attitude as well. Because you have men and women, they got to come together and eventually build a relationship so they could build a marriage and build a family. a lot of people think, well, Tate's trying to say girls can be a boss bee, like the boss bee mentality, right? Boss bee, boss bee. Listen, I got twin girls. I want them to be a boss bee. I want them to be not to the extent where they don't need, I want them to have their independence. I want them to have their money. I want them to be squared away. I want them to believe in their faith. I want them to believe in their understanding with their relationship with the man upstairs. But I want them to think of that, okay, I'm a boss bee, but I don't need a man. That's the problem. Take care of yourself as an independent one, but know that you're prepared for a relationship down the road to continue the Sapala last name, to continue the procreation of good human beings in his world. But I don't, for me, I mean, do you like women? A woman in your life? I never liked it. If Sheena was always going to the clubs, I don't know if she would be my wife today.
1,000%. You know this, and for everyone that's watching, you all know this. I'm very big on principles and values, man. Very, very big on principles and values when it comes down to relationships. I think that's one of the main reasons why I've become extremely picky over time, and it's not so much of it's not so much of just I guess you can say being self-centered or just blocking off anything that can come my way. It's just I know what I want, and I think the more clear you are on what you want and which direction you're headed, whether you're a man or a woman, I think the more clarity you have, you tend to filter out the weeds from everything that you're trying to attain when it comes down to a relationship. So you become a little bit more to yourself, and you really aren't focused on just on the looks anymore and just the superficial things of what a relationship could bring. But one of the things that I did learn about this guy, man, that I learned about business just from observing this guy is polarization is marketing. Andrew Tate, he's a polarizing figure. He knows the game.
He knows the game.
He's a polarizing figure, man. Very strong polarizing figure. It's the reason why he continues to trend despite of being banned from all these social media platforms and even going to jail. Is being able to identify a controversial topic, understand both sides of the argument, pick the side that aligns with your target audience, and share the views that will outrage the opposing side, but will land well with your target audience. And another figure is Elon Musk. Yeah. Polarization creates engagement. Engagement leads to more reach and exposure. More reach and exposure results in more engagement. It's a vicious cycle consistently. Yeah.
And I think, if anything, Andrew Tate is helping people recognize their roles all over again.
Yeah.
Because there's been such a skewing of roles. One of the things, Lexia, that I've asked my kids to consider, that saying, I'm just going to do me, I'm just going to do me, right? I'm going to do me. To me, that's a cop-out.
It is.
Right?
It definitely is. Yeah, I think as a society, we lack accountability, and when somebody tries to hold us accountable, we hate it.
Yeah, exactly.
I've had a lot of fallouts due to that, and I completely understand it. And to touch up on your point, Milton, when it comes to being meticulous with what you want, I think there's nothing wrong with that. As we grow and you learn to...
Him or her. Okay? No judgment, bro.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate that.
I feel like as we grow, I think it's very important that, like you said, where we understand our roles. So...
Gotcha. Couple things we want to wrap up. Matter of fact, I probably have to do another episode here on the de-dollarization. I think I'm going to do a separate video on the de-dollarization. So make sure you stay posted to Millionaire Goals podcast as well as the Seven Figure Squad YouTube channel. I'm going to do a separate, and here's why. I'm just going to go over this very quickly because I want us to react to some videos here real quick. If you look at my screen, Saudi Arabia is cutting ties with the United States for economic independence. OPEC is shutting down their production. So in other words, gas is probably getting more expensive. China, our enemies are getting together. China and Russia are getting together. They're no longer trading the U.S. currency. They're using the Chinese yuan. Kenya says get rid of U.S. dollars. So Kenya's moving to different reserve currency. Japan, breaking for the United States and allies, commits to buying Russian oil. Again, Kuwait, Oman, Algeria to cut oil production output by the end of 2023. Chinese yuan surpasses the euro to become Brazil's second largest reserve currency. So I'll do a video of this in another episode here, but I want to react to a couple of videos here. Can we look at the video here on New York landlord says the gold age of being a landlord is over. A lot of people are wanting to invest in real estate. Buy real estate, buy real estate, buy real estate. So can we take a look at this? Or is it on my end, Jordan? Okay, let me go to the next one. Let's go to that TikTok video. I'm gonna go because I got to load up on my end. This TikTok video here of who lacks sex. Let's take a look at this episode, or excuse me, this quick TikTok here on who's actually lacking sex. What?
Who lacks sex speaks about sex. Hungry talks about food. a person who has no money about money. And our oligarchs and bankers talk about morality.
What's your quick feedback on that? So in other words, if whatever you're lacking, you're talking about?
Yeah, your fears get withdrawn during times of pressure and stress. From what
So in other words, we're talking about money and faith and fatherhood. We're doing a podcast. We're lacking faith.
I think it's during the hard times. You know, when you're completely under a lot of stress and under a lot of pressure, and it just erupts in the middle of an argument. I think that you can kind of tie that into relationships when you're arguing with your spouse, your partner, and money tends to be the surrounding factor on why you're arguing, or the lack of sex, or the incompetent sex that your partner gives you. Especially a lot of men out there who are very incompetent when it comes down to knowing how to lay a smack down in the bedroom because of their diets and their lifestyles. But that's my perspective.
Listen, I'm a big believer in what you talk about, you be about.
Yeah.
So I don't know about this 2 cents here. Maybe what you flex is because you lack sex. Yeah. Because you're lacking what you don't have. So it depends on how you talk about that topic.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Right?
For
Because if you're talking well about it or you're complaining about it, really it helps you understand, okay, that person is one who wants to bless people with this conversation, with his experience with it, or this guy's just complaining to lay the blame to hide the shame. They don't want to get in the game. Let's go to the next one about how to tell if a girl doesn't like you. Lexi, we're going to definitely need your perspective on this.
Absolutely.
How to tell if a girl doesn't like you. Let's take a look at what this video has to say.
She's not interested. It's really that simple. If you are trying to contact a woman and you're getting delayed response, when a woman likes you, she will cancel plans. She responds immediately. She becomes available. When she doesn't really like you that much, she's unavailable. It's really that simple.
It all makes sense.
It's very true.
How do you know that's kind of like just baiting positioning? Because I tried this once, I lost.
I think a lot of women try to see how they can benefit from a situation. So it's not even just if she likes you, it's just how is she benefiting from it. I've had friends where they don't like a man, but they will continue to entertain the man because there's something they're receiving from it, whether it's sex, whether it's money, whether it's attention. They'll do it. So yeah, she's completely spot on when it comes to if a woman's trying with you, she's interested. I'm not gonna say in dating you, but she's interested in whatever you're offering. It's really that simple.
To all the men out there, just get out of their DMs. Find a hobby. Go to church. Make some money. Go to the gym.
What a good point. How do you feel about DMs in your IG? I mean, you got a decent following in your IG.
I ignore them. I am not going to find a man on Instagram. I'm letting you know right now. I think that if I've actually had a lot of friends complain about the men that they run into, and vice versa. The males complain about the women that they encounter, and it's like, well, have you thought about where you're encountering them? The clubs, nightlife. How'd you meet? Oh, Instagram. How'd you meet? Tinder. And then not knocking. I've actually had friends who have marriages out of dating apps, but we've lost touch with how we interact and how we court. And I think that's the biggest problem right now when it comes to dating.
Lack of courting. Let's talk about how to find a wife. So, Jordan, there's a video here that we should react to in terms of how to find a wife. I wonder what their insight might be on this particular topic, how to find a wife.
Here we go.
I'm single, you're single. What do you say we get married?
Well, I'm glad you finally decided on the direct approach.
Yeah, well, I'm a businessman at heart.
As am I. What's your offer?
Single rich male seeks matrimony.
Primary residence?
Westchester County.
Would you be open to considering a secondary residence in Manhattan?
Central Park West.
South.
Done. Time spent together.
8 hours, 5 days a week.
7 hours, 12 hours weekends.
55 hours aggregate. Specifics to be determined later.
I'm amenable to that. Children.
1.
3.
2.
Done. But one of them has to be a male.
I'll see what I can do. Vacation.
December, Hawaii.
June, the vineyard.
June, fine, but Hawaii.
Nope, the vineyard.
Is that a deal breaker for you?
I'm afraid so.
Me too. Well, we gave it a shot.
I'm sure you'll find a better match.
Thanks for the time.
If only it was that easy.
Well, hey, at least they didn't waste around and have kids and go through a divorce and split assets 50-50.
That's true.
What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think I've actually had this conversation with somebody before. A lot of parents send their daughters off to go find a husband in college. I don't know if you've ever heard that story. Yeah, like
Holy moly! In college?
in college, yeah, absolutely. And if you statistics show like there's that age, I'd say 18 to 23 is where you find, you know, your lifelong partner, and if not, you're gonna find it later in life. But I will say, we as a society now, we do a lot of beating around the bush when it comes to trying to find somebody we date and compatible with. I've struggled. So as I was in a long-term relationship and coming out and getting back into that dating world, it was just like I don't know. People have just lost. Like I said, I'll go back to courtship and approach like that's terrible now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, you know my situation, man. I don't know what you want me to say.
But the audience doesn't know your situation, bro. I just like having fun with it because
You
we're
like
gonna
that?
eventually find Milton here, a good woman in his life.
All right,
And,
here.
we're gonna have Milton marry an awesome woman of God.
I created a
Avatar?
5-second resume. I'm 6'2". I like long walks on the treadmill. I'm kind of funny, kind of awkward. Jesus loves me. I'm trying to love just as hard. I got good credit. I can afford a 10-piece nuggets from Wendy's, which is a come up from McDonald's, and a grande instead of a venti from Starbucks. So that is my
Hey.
resume, ladies.
Bro, you're
the
lying
line.
on that, bro. You're like,
Get the line.
you're not no 10-piece.
The
You're
grande,
a sushi
the
guy.
grande is smaller than the venti though.
No, I thought the venti's only
tough?
20 ounce.
No, I think the venti is the largest.
That's
The
tough.
tall
What
is the small.
What he's trying to say, ladies, is that if you feel like a 10-piece McDonald's and you value that and you appreciate and you're grateful for that, there's much more around the corner. I just exposed you, bro.
Thanks for the stamp of
You're
appreciate
welcome.
the edification.
Let's go to this next video here on Patrick and David, what the USA needs today. What the USA needs today. From my mentor, Patrick and David, because I think a lot of this craziness happening in America today is because of just America's trying to say, I'm going to do me. And in the process of doing me, we're losing sight of the greatness of what our country is built on, the values and principles of what makes America America. So what USA needs today is what?
Understand people who are willing to risk life living without God. I can't understand that life. Because to live a life without God, you think you know it all. I don't think I know it all. To live life without God, you think you can do it all on your own. I can't do it all on my own. To live a life without God is saying you have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. I need help in raising of my kids with good people around me as well, because I only have a certain amount of hours with them every day. They go to school. Mm-hmm. To live a life today without God, man upstairs, prayer, a community you're a part of, if there's ever been a time in our lifetime, at least, you know, in the last however many years, to risk living life without God, this is by far the worst season to do that.
Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts on that? Where's your faith? Your regardless of what religion people are involved in, to not have a God in your life, how is it having a God in your life, your faith, big man upstairs, made an impact in your life? Where would you be without him?
You need to be able to be rooted into something. You need something to fall back on. You need to understand, and we all need to understand that we all come from source. I feel like we're all little mini resources on this physical earth trying to put one big puzzle piece together. And I do believe that every single person on this earth has a specific gift, or if not calling, that they're meant to pursue and go after. And I believe that purpose that you have within you, that gift that you have within you, because God placed that gift within you strategically. A lot of people go out looking for these gifts and exterior things and women and men and money and careers and jobs and just all these distractions. But God placed that gift in the most strategic place possible that you'll be able to find it, but that's the last place we look, and that's literally within you. And the moment that you start spending more time with God, your identity starts to expand. You start literally filling in the gaps, and you start to recognize who you are, what you're meant to become, and what you're meant to do. And that within itself, I do believe it's going to create room for you. It's going to create purpose for you, and at the same time, it's going to be able to create some form of monetization, so that way you can make money off of that, and that way you can also serve the world.
Amen.
Yeah, my biggest thing, man.
Profound, bro.
Yeah, hit the nail on the head with that one. I cannot follow that one up.
What's your thoughts? Having a faith, having a God in life.
Yeah,
in your
I
life.
think I'll kind of piggyback off what Milton said. I think no matter whether you think it's a higher power, whatever your belief is, I do think that it is important to remain rooted. There was a point in my life where I left and was just trying to discover myself in college, and wasn't really focused on my faith. And when I graduated and really was kind of, like I told you, dealing with that depressive phase and whatnot, like part of what helped me kind of find my way back and really start feeling like I was fulfilling my purpose and serving was, you know, finding my way back to my faith. I'm not saying church, I'm saying my faith, you know, however you practice it, whether it's on your own, you spend time with him, just like Milton said, like, I truly think that your life will change. So you will never find me not rooted in my faith ever again, because I was a lost soul then.
Amen, hallelujah. If we can just show this one last thing before you wrap up, just show my screen here. In scripture, in James, it states that a small rudder makes a huge ship turn wherever the pilot chooses to go, even though the winds are strong. So for me, having a faith, having a disposition where if I'm a ship and I'm trying to go from one place to another, that rudder to me is the values and principles of what my Creator puts in my rudder. And back to the point, I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna do me. Doing me is like having a big ship, but you just have a what do you call it? A paddle. Mm-hmm. And you try to put it in the water, and you get a huge ship going, but it's not really making much of a difference in this huge storm. But if you have a rudder, and you're trying to navigate life, and you realize how strong that rudder is, you have this huge ship, you're going to and fro. But you're gonna be able to navigate through a lot of problems you're gonna face in your life, the challenges that you have in your life, because the big man upstairs has his rudder attached to help you with the decision-making process of dealing with a family, finding the right wife, finding the right husband, leading your children, leading your business, leading your finances, and all aspects of your life. If you don't have that rudder and you're in the storm and you're in that ship, you're all over the damn place. So, again, the inspired word of God here before Easter comes this Sunday. As we wrap up, Lexi, I appreciate you being here. As our special guest here, any final thoughts here on our podcast? I appreciate you investing time with us.
I've been on a few podcasts, and I'd say I thoroughly enjoyed the pace in which, in all our conversations, I think they were fruitful and advantageous to everybody watching.
Thank
you.
You got to come back on.
Hey, I am here. I'll just call away.
Where can people find your gym?
It's in Carrollton, 2405 East Beltline Road. We are right in the center of DFW Metroplex. So if you're coming from north, south, east, west, we are pretty much the same equidistant from always. So no excuses. Triple D Performance Center on Instagram as well. We have a website. But get connected with us. We have a bunch of trainers there. I'm currently only the female trainer. So my ladies, if you're looking for a female trainer, I'm your girl.
Woo! There it is. Milton, final thoughts.
Well, based on the topics we spoke about today, man, you can't be afraid of causing a disruption in life. The closer you get to God, the more you're going to stand out. Get ready for isolation. Get ready for open doors and closed doors. People who cause a disruption won't be forgotten. Lives are literally counting on you to step into your purpose, into your calling, and allow God to move through you. I think it's one of the most selfish things in the world to just live for yourself and be scared to take that leap forward. The moment that you decide to say yes to God and yes to the calling in your life, there are many lives that are going to change because of how God's going to work in you and through you.
Amen to that.
Man.
And for those of you watching this, just know that there's a big plan for your life. There's a big plan. There's a big purpose for you in life. God doesn't make mistakes. He makes circumstances, so therefore you can find that purpose. You can find him in the storm. And when I'm looking through some of the best things in my life is because it's a result of me having faith through the worst times in my life. If I want better things in my life, guess what I have to prepare to go through? More tough times. And don't ask for circumstances to be easier. Pray for you to get stronger to deal with the next best version of you that cannot wait to meet you. That being said, if you're watching this episode, make sure you follow Lexi, make sure you follow Milton, make sure you subscribe to the Millionaire Goals YouTube channel and drop your comments below, your thoughts, your feedback. You agree with us? You don't agree with us? Please, we want to know. That being said, God bless you guys, and I'll see you next Wednesday. By the way, I'll be here again tomorrow. I have a very special guest named Tommy Harris, former draft pick of the Chicago Bears, who wrote a book called Endure. And you got to check that out. Our conversation tomorrow at 1 o'clock. I think it's 1 o'clock or 12:30, 1 o'clock. We'll post it here in a minute, Central Standard Time tomorrow. That being said, God bless you all. Until we meet again, continue to live smart, continue to love smart, and be money smart today. Bye-bye.